My name is Emily Jones. I'm 55 years old. I've been married to my husband, Brian, who's a year older than me, for 25 years now. Of course, we've had our share of fights during our long marriage, but I thought we were a pretty happy couple overall. However, one day, something happened that shattered that relationship completely. It was a beautiful ceremony, wasn't it? I hope they have a long and happy life just like us. It was when we returned home from our 25-year-old daughter's wedding. Immersed in the afterglow of the wedding, I made a comment, and my husband responded like this. Yeah, now I can finally be happy too. What? What do you mean by that? He silently handed me a piece of paper from his bag. It was a divorce paper. Emily, I want a divorce.
A divorce? Why?
The truth is, I have a lover. She had my child, and I plan to marry her.
Wait a minute, what do you mean? A lover? A child? What are you talking about?
I was, of course, in a complete panic from his sudden confession. Seeing my reaction, he sighed deeply and continued. I've been thinking about divorcing you for a while now. But I stayed married for the sake of our daughter's wedding. Now that it's over, I want to be happy too. You want to be happy? What do you mean by that? It sounds like you haven't been happy until now. That's exactly right. I've been tired from work, and you constantly nagged me. Telling me to put my socks in the laundry, to leave the used dishes in the sink. Acting all high and mighty. Who do you think has made it possible for you to live comfortably all these years? If it weren't for my income, you'd have been out on the streets a long time ago. I've been working too, you know. I'm just as tired as you are. I handled most of the housework and raising our daughter because I knew you were working hard. And now you're telling me you want a divorce to live with your lover and secret child? That's just too cruel. And you're just a part-time worker. How dare you? That's because you wanted. Listen up. No matter how much you earn from your part-time job, I'm the one holding the bank account for this household. Most of the money in it is mine. As you know, I earn many times more than you. Do you think we could survive on just your part-time income? Could you pay for electricity, water, and gas with that? And this house is in my name, a gift from my parents. You have no right to complain. Brian works as an elite salesperson at a large corporation. I used to work at a small company, but I quit because he wanted me to be a housewife. When our daughter grew up a bit, I started working part-time at a local supermarket. So, Brian held our household's account. And now, he had the nerve to say something even more outrageous. That's why I can spend our money however I want. I plan to use all of it on my new wife and child. What? What are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? Of course, I'm serious. Now that our daughter is married and moved out, there's no reason for me to stay with you. I'm going to live happily with my new family. So sign the divorce papers and agree not to ask for any property division. With that, he slammed the divorce papers and the waiver of property division agreement onto the table. But I refused. Are you kidding me? Why would I sign such an agreement? Especially on the day of our daughter's wedding? Didn't we just talk about this? Just sign it now. No. Angered by my refusal to sign, my husband picked up the small fish tank on the table and dumped the water all over me. What the? What are you doing? This is because you won't do what I say. But this is awful. I quickly scooped up the goldfish flopping on the floor and put it back into the tank filled with water. What's that look for? Got a problem? If you do, just sign these papers and get lost, old hag. Seeing the man I'd lived with for 25 years call me an old hag with such a furious expression, I couldn't help but run out of the house in silence. Hey! Where do you think you're going? If you're leaving, sign the papers first. But even though I fled the house, my parents were already deceased, and I had no siblings or relatives to turn to. I can't just barge into my newlywed daughter's home, and contacting my mother-in-law won't help either. My mother-in-law was not someone I could rely on. She had disliked me from the beginning of our marriage. Although she never told me directly, Brian said she hated me and wished she never had to deal with me. She always treated me coldly and spoke to me dismissively. So I couldn't turn to her for help. As I was thinking that, I tripped over a discarded bottle and fell. There I was, a 55-year-old woman, soaking wet, reeking, and crying on the ground. The situation was so pathetic that I couldn't bring myself to get up. Why is this happening? Ugh.
Are you okay? What happened to you?
A kind woman approached me. I'm sorry. I'm fine. It's nothing. Please don't worry about me. When I looked up, I was shocked to see my mother-in-law standing there. Mom, why are you here?
After the wedding, I was worried about something, so I was heading to your house. Then I saw a woman lying on the road and stopped to check. I didn't expect it to be you. Did my son do this to you?
Her gentle tone made me explain everything. Actually, he said he wants a divorce to live with his young lover in our house. They have a secret child, and he plans to spend all our money on them. Mom extended her hand to me and said,
Listen, Emily. You can't let this get to you. Wipe your tears, brush off your clothes, and stand tall. You'll be fine. Now, let's make my son and his lover's life miserable together. But first, you need a bath.
Though confused by her words, which seemed so unlike the mother-in-law I knew, I took her offered hand.
Thank you for the bath.
Don't mention it. So, you said you were coming to our house because you were worried about something. What was it? Actually, at today's wedding, I overheard something. While everyone headed to the venue, my son stayed in the waiting room and made a phone call. I heard what he was saying. He said, I'll definitely talk about the divorce when I get home today. What? I'm sure the person he was talking to was that young lover. Apparently, my husband called his lover from our daughter's wedding venue, and my mother-in-law happened to overhear the conversation. What else did they talk about? Knowing you'd ask that, I recorded the conversation on my smartphone. My granddaughter taught me to record anything that might lead to trouble. It's a convenient world we live in now. The conversation my mother-in-law played for me was shocking. I know. I'll definitely give my wife the divorce papers today. I told you before, after our daughter's wedding. Yeah, right after the wedding. The ceremony is about to start. I'll call you when it's over. I love you too, bye. The recording ended there. I wanted to confront him right then, but today was our granddaughter's important wedding. I didn't want to ruin the wedding with the news that her father might be cheating. So I planned to ask him later and was heading to your house. I knew you disliked me and didn't want to see me, and I thought it might be inappropriate for a parent to get involved in their 50s child's marriage issues, but I just couldn't keep silent. I'm sorry. She held her head in her hands. But I was shocked by her words. What are you talking about? You're the one who hated me so much you didn't want to be involved with me. What? When did I ever say that? Brian told me that you deeply disliked me, that you didn't really approve of our marriage but reluctantly allowed it. He said you badmouthed me to the neighbors, calling me useless, dumb, and inefficient. He even told me never to visit your house alone because you might do something to me. Is that not true? Of course not. I never thought or said anything like that. What? But Brian told me that, and for the past 25 years, I've always believed it. Then maybe what I've heard from him is also false. What did he tell you? Almost the same as what you heard. He said you were polite on the surface but really don't like me, and that talking to me or meeting me was so stressful that you'd vomit after seeing me. That's not true. So I tried to avoid stressing you out by not interacting much. Is that not the case? No, it isn't. I thought you avoided me because you hated me. So, we both were fed lies by him? For what reason? For times like this, I suppose. You lost your parents early and have no siblings or relatives, right? So your only other option for support is your granddaughter or me. Most mothers wouldn't burden their daughters, leaving me as your only option. He wanted to eliminate that option. That's terrible. Now I see. I get it. If he wants to play dirty, we can too. Play dirty. Leave it to me. A few days later.
Hey, where are you? Come back and sign the divorce papers already. Your stuff is in the way. If you don't come back today, I'm throwing it all out. Got it?
Brian called, demanding I return to sign the papers. See, I knew he'd call. Let's go ahead with our plan. Yes, Mom. So, I returned to the house I swore I'd never go back to, with my mother-in-law. You're finally here. How long are you gonna make me wait? Just sign the divorce papers. Wait, why is Mom here? I came to support Emily. Does it matter? Stop dawdling and let us in. Are you gonna make an old woman stand outside? When my mother-in-law said that, my husband looked bewildered but let us into the house. It was my first time back in our home in a few days. The house was more cluttered than when I left, completely changed. But the biggest change was the unknown woman inside. Oh, you must be Brian's wife? The one who ran out crying without signing the divorce papers, right? You finally came back to sign, huh? And who's this? Your mom? Did you bring your mom to help you sign the papers? Isn't that embarrassing for a grown woman? You're mistaken. I'm not her mother. I'm the mother of that idiot standing next to you. What? You're Brian's mother? If you were coming, you should have told me. I wouldn't have come out looking like this. Don't worry. I don't care what you're wearing. What? More importantly, didn't you have some business with Emily? Then my ex-husband handed over the divorce papers and property division documents that I had left and signed that day. Here, the divorce papers and property division documents you left behind. Our daughter is an adult and married, so we don't need to discuss custody or child support. I've already filled out my part. All that's left is for you to sign. You came here ready to do that, right? So sign it. You're not leaving today without signing. I silently signed the documents he handed me.
All right, you signed it. Now, you and I are officially strangers. Pack your things and get out of this house immediately. Blame yourself, not me. Brian chose me over you because of your own shortcomings. Look in the mirror. You're all flabby, covered in spots and wrinkles. No wonder he cheated on you. Goodbye, old hag.
As they said this. What are you talking about? It's not Emily who's leaving, it's you too, said my mother-in-law, who had been quietly watching until now. What are you saying, Mom? Why should we leave? This house is mine, isn't it? You and Dad gave it to us as a wedding gift. So it's mine. When did this house become yours? Well.
Yes, we gave you this house as a wedding gift. But we never transferred the title to you. When your father passed away, the title was changed to my name. This house is mine. So, I decide who stays and who leaves. Pack your things and leave immediately.
Why is this happening? Did Emily put you up to this? Did she convince you to take her side? Emily didn't do anything. I approached her when I found her lying in the street, soaking wet. What?
I know what you've been up to. You've been lying to us, making us avoid each other, preventing us from cooperating. From the very beginning, 25 years ago, you planned for this situation. What were you thinking?
That's. Brian turned pale. And he couldn't say another word. But then his lover spoke up.
This is ridiculous. Why should we have to leave? Even if Mrs. Jones owns the house, it doesn't matter, right? Brian is your son. So it's fine for us to stay here. Just because Brian lied to you doesn't mean we can't live here.
With a big sigh, my mother-in-law said, "Why you can't live here?" "Emily, can you give me the documents I handed you?" "Yes." "What is this envelope, severance pay or something?" "Open it and see." At my mother-in-law's words, they exchanged glances and opened the envelope. Inside were not money, but several documents. As soon as they read through them, their expressions changed dramatically. My friend's son is a private investigator. I had him look into her background. Imagine my surprise when I found out she has a husband. "So why are you with my son?" It turned out she was married. And they were having an affair. Brian, apparently unaware of this, was shocked. "A husband? What is this? Were you married?"
No. That's a lie. Brian is the only one for me.
It's not a lie, is it? You married a classmate 3 years ago and had his child a year ago, didn't you? You're a 24-year-old married woman with a child, Natalie Anderson.
What? No way, that child is.
That's right. This child isn't yours. She was born to her and her husband. There's not a drop of your blood in her. No, it can't be, that's impossible. If you think it's a lie, why not get a DNA test? But the results will be exactly what I said. Right, Natalie? The lover's eyes darted around, and she started sweating profusely. Oh my, what's wrong? Why are you sweating so much? It's not that hot. Or are you just panicking because you got caught? No.
Natalie, what the hell is going on? Say something.
Well,
Is what Mom said true? Tell me.
Yes. So it's true. Why would you lie about that?
I didn't have a choice. I married someone I thought was financially secure, but he got laid off, and we were struggling for money. And I found out I was pregnant just after that. To make sure my child and I could live comfortably, I decided to leave my unemployed husband and marry a wealthy man. That's when I found Brian on a dating app. He was in his 50s, worked at a large corporation, his child was grown and about to get married, and he had a lot of complaints about his wife. I figured he'd be easy to switch to. I wasn't showing much yet, so when I told him I was pregnant with his child, he easily fell for it. But Brian has a daughter, so I worried he might get suspicious if the due date was off. I told him it was my first pregnancy and the baby might come early, and he didn't question it. My plan was to divorce my husband and then marry Brian after he divorced his wife.
So from the start, you. Of course. You think I'd marry an old man my parents' age for love? I pretended to love him because he worked at a big company and had a big house. What? But what's wrong with that? I get to marry a rich old man who'll take care of me and my child, and Brian gets to divorce his unhappy wife and marry a young woman. It's a win-win. But whatever, I'm done. So what if you hired a PI? Stupid. Fine, I'll leave. I'll leave as you wish. She started packing her things, ready to leave with the child. Wait a minute.
What? What do you want now?
You think you can just walk away? You're responsible for ruining our marriage. You will be held accountable.
Accountable? For what?
For starters, you owe me alimony.
Alimony? Why? Did you hear anything I said? I don't have any money. I was going to marry him because I needed money. If you didn't want a divorce, just remarry him. I'm giving him back to you, so isn't that enough?
It's not that simple.
Why not?
And you, don't think you're off the hook just because you're in shock or think this doesn't concern you. You're also responsible for this, so prepare yourself. And I almost forgot. These property division papers are null and void. Who would agree to such a ridiculous document? I tore up the papers in front of Brian. Now, everything is settled. Those of you who don't belong in this house, get out. You can't mean me too. Yes, you too. Leave.
No way. I was deceived by her. And now you want me out? I have nowhere to go.
My mother-in-law banged the table and said, "A son who lies and deceives for 25 years isn't my son. From today, we are no longer family. Live your life thinking you have no mother. I'll live mine thinking I have no son. Please, calm down. Why are you doing this? I can't believe you need to be told. Live with that question forever. It's no longer my concern."
Mom. I told you, you have no mother. I never want to see you again. Get out.
With that, my mother-in-law pushed them both out of the house. As for my husband, he protested at the front door for a while, but concerned about the neighbors watching, he eventually disappeared. I took the signed divorce papers to the county office and submitted them. After 25 years, I was officially single again.
My son and you getting divorced should feel complicated, but strangely, I feel relieved. Also, I'm sorry for the terrible way I treated you, even though I was fed lies. Mom. I'm sorry too, for believing him without hearing your side.
We apologized each other and reconciled. I never imagined this day would come after 25 years. Then, I officially demanded alimony from my ex-husband and his lover. Together, it was about $60,000. The lawyer said we could demand this amount because of our 25-year marriage and the long duration of his affair. However, my ex-husband vehemently opposed the amount.
Why do I have to pay that much? It's one thing to ask her, but demanding alimony from me too. I was deceived all this time. I'm a victim too. Are you saying you'll take money from a fraud victim? That's too cruel. You're being deceived by her, and what you did to me are separate issues. If you can't forgive her, take her to court or something. It's not my concern.
This can't be. His being deceived by her didn't exempt him from paying me alimony, and after some disputes, he eventually agreed to pay. We also divided the property fairly, and I was satisfied with the outcome. As for his lover, no, it's not like that. There's a reason for this. I wasn't cheating, I was deceived. Please. Believe me. The certified mail demanding alimony exposed the affair to her husband, leading to their divorce. I heard her husband also demanded alimony from her. She probably had to pay quite a bit, combining his demand with mine. My ex-husband, meanwhile, wasn't sued for alimony by her husband, as he had proof that he didn't know she was married. However, my ex-husband lost something far more valuable than money or a house.
Please listen to me. I did wrong to your mother, but we've settled that. Let me meet and talk with you properly. You can't mean you don't want to see me. Wait. Hey.
Yes, he lost his daughter. She was disillusioned with him after hearing the whole story from me and my mother-in-law. She declared she wanted to cut ties with him. Despite having a lover and an illegitimate child, my ex-husband planned to wait until after the wedding to divorce for our daughter's sake. Even though his love for me had faded, he still had love for our daughter. Being told by our daughter that she wanted to cut ties with him seemed to be quite a shock. A few months later, I received a call from an unknown number, and it was my ex-husband.
Please, let's start over. Losing you made me realize how happy those 25 years were. Even our daughter says she never wants to see me. I was out of my mind. I promise never to make you sad again. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Please.
Do you really think I'll agree to that now? What? There's no way I'd start over with you. I'm living a fulfilling and happy life without you. Getting back together would be a return to hell. Who wants that? You don't have to be so harsh. But it's true, isn't it? You only think of yourself, causing trouble for everyone around you. This time, you probably called me because you felt lonely, right? Am I wrong? Well. Anyway, I'll never see you again. Don't ever contact me again. This is a final goodbye.
Hey, wait! Emily!
And with that, I hung up on him. What was that about? He wants to get back together. What a foolish idea. Let's forget about him and enjoy the rest of our lives. Come on, let's go. Now, I get along with my mother-in-law as if she were my own mother, despite how difficult our relationship used to be. Next vacation, we're planning a trip with my daughter, the three of us together.